Let's go. You ready? Wait, Bankie, no.
Into the world, the Topiks, Bankie Yahsonn. Real conversation. Lately we be having conversations with people, cause we feel like there's nobody really talking truth. We be having conversations with people, cause too many media houses changing up the news. Everything was green light, now we seeing red. Everybody got opinions, few got facts instead. We be having conversations with people, cause we feel like there's nobody really talking truth. Tuesday night and everybody tuned in live. Bankie Yahsonn bringing reason in every time. Talking politics and the things affecting lives. Breaking down the stories they be trying to hide. Used to trust the system, now the trust gone. Everybody talking loud, but the facts wrong. People tired of the fake and the gimmicks too, so they coming to these topics for a clearer view. Got the whole Caribbean locked on the station. Real entertainment network building conversation. No script vibes, now stage for the camera. Just real people talking straight with stamina. Yeah, we be having conversations with the people, cause we feel like there's nobody really talking truth. We be having conversations with the people, cause too many media houses changing up the news. Everything was green light, now we seeing red. Everybody got opinions, you got facts instead. We be having conversations with the people, cause we feel like there's nobody really talking truth. Sometimes Fridays got a special live session. Big topics got the whole place stressing. Agriculture, crime, economy discussion. Every episode spark another conversation, and the comments start flying when the lights start. Everybody got a view from the heart. Some agree and some disagree too, but at least these topics bringing real views. No pretending when the mic turn on. Yahsonn reasoning while Bankie stay strong. People checking in from overseas too, cause authentic conversation hard to come through. Everything was green light, now we seeing red. Everybody got opinions, few got facts instead. We be having conversations with the people, cause we feel like there's nobody really talking true.
Yes, greetings and welcome to Real Entertainment Network. And this is the sound of your host, Bankie. And greetings, and for those who tune into Real Entertainment Network on the Topiks another Tuesday evening, we just want to apologize for the late start. It wasn't planned. There's some different hiccups here and there, and apologize for Yahsonn not being on the screen right now, but he will join us once he get in. But before we get into that, let me say good evening to the folks in Liamiga and Oli, which is the indigenous name, and hopefully soon and very soon we end up and have all the legal documents and everything, and was really supposed to keep it the ancient way and from the colonizers and stuff like that. So a lot of stuff really need to change, and it goes a long way when it comes to impart information who we are as a people. So let me say good evening to the folks also in the neighboring islands, Station, St. Martin, Montserrat, Antigua and Barbuda, and all the other islands throughout the OECS and the Windward Islands. Also the folks throughout the region, especially in North America, from the Florida Keys right up to Maine, and also the folks over in Europe, the different time zones tend to let me know that they don't go to sleep unless they listen to all the shows and stuff like that. So we're really grateful and appreciate that. Because you can be listening to any other media host, where you choose to listen, and it shows that they have that interest in what goes on within St. Kitts Nevis, whether it come to sports in the community, and you have that keen interest, and that is very important in shaping the country going forward. Also, let me say good evening, good afternoon, good morning, whichever is appropriate to wherever you're at, and you choose to Real Entertainment. Really appreciate the love, and also remember, Real Entertainment is by Islander, Water Sports, and The Rock, and also Shabbos Organics, and Imperial Rides, and Manster's Last Stop. So I want to say, right now at Manster's Last Stop, you can get your watermelon, your local fruits, fruits, your bell apple or wax apple, and your ripe or green plantain, and also tomorrow you get your roti, and then Thursday you get your curry chicken, and Friday you get your soul food cook up, and Saturday your caramel and okra, and your different meat sauce chicken and stuff like that. Just one of the best places to chill on a farm. We have a full restaurant and a mini supermarket you come and get, as I said, Mansell last stop. And it's all about keeping my Uncle Mansell legacy alive. So just want to big up the chef in the house, Amanis, Aisha, and the ones far away in North America, Tasha. So sisters, big up yourself. We're working together, and we really appreciate the community who comes out every day and patronize. So that shows a lot for the work my uncle have done within the agricultural sector for over 40 plus years, and the community love to see what's going on and can't take that for granted. This evening is no other different than another Tuesday evening with our guests, which was not planned. So much got to say, I really got to show a lot of love to this lady here on the screen, because this was like a spa of the moment, because it just didn't went. So that I got to give this young lady here maximum respect and credit and stuff like that. So the name, not thinking that a stranger when it comes to media, and being in, I hear his voice so many years, for years and years, but never could have put a face to the picture, to the person, and sense like that until now. So the face is new to me too, but not the voice. The voice is very powerful, one that command your attention, and you never know how the universe set things. I would never know. You listen to this lady's voice, and now you're interviewing the voice. The universe have a way of spinning things around. You want to tell me what we doing all stuff? I would not say not me. But it's all about having fun and disseminating the information and give everyone equal chance, and that's what it's all about. So, ladies and gentlemen, and the viewing, listening, and audience, the voice I was about is Miss Sandra Queely Aurtherton, a very known radio personality in St. Kitts and Nevis, and it's really a pleasure having this lady here. We're going to be speaking about politics and what goes on in the community and stuff like that. But I want to say, Ms. Queely, welcome to Real Entertainment Network and the Topiks.
Thank you, Bankie. It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me. It's a pity we didn't have a lot more time to organize, but I suppose that's who we are. We have to be always ready when you call upon. If you're true to what you believe in, you don't need time to prepare, and I suppose that's what it is.
Beautiful.
So,
Miss Queely, you're someone. Yes, you're someone over the years on the radio, very engaging, very outspoken, stand for equality.
What I believe in.
Yes, equality, and very forthright, and some might figure, oh, you're wrong or whatever, but in a democracy, everyone should be able to be like you and speak their mind and not being intimidated and stuff, and that is something I must commend you for, and a lot of young people, especially ladies, and who may look up to you as a role model, and many would want to be that way, but they're just afraid because of different reasons. So we're at this point, we're here in these times. It seems like we are in politics going on, and really it's always in political mode here in St. Kitts and Nevis. But currently it seems like there's a lot of new parties rising up, and it seems like there's a lot of reason behind of that, and that with even in Navy and the Nevis side, St. Kitts side. So there's a new party by the name of OFA. So I want you, where you comes in when it comes to OFA, and what is OFA, because it is new to me too, and everyone is very, I'm around this, and people tend to come around and speak, and so people are very intrigued with what's going on, because it seems like there are a lot of independents coming up, a lot of new parties. It seems like they really want a change with both parties, both in St. Kitts and Nevis, and conversation seems to be the same. Why it's never been like this, where you're almost all independent, but it's like a different era. So I mean, it's crazy. So what is OFA, and why now, and what kept you in the media and so engaging and stuff when it comes to wanting what is right for your country?
Thanks, Bankie. Thanks for affording me the opportunity that, sometimes you have to re-educate people, and you have to inform people what is going on. You said good is just to talk about the fact that we have a lot of new parties coming out. The sad thing about it, and people would ask the same question, is why all these parties? What is really the meaning, the real meaning behind new parties coming up? One is a sign that people are not satisfied with what is going on. Some people think that they can do it better, and so they come out running as independent. People think, a larger group of people think that they too can do it better, and so you form a political party. We at OFA is one federal alliance. We recognize that there is need for proper leadership in St. Kitts and Nevis. How are we genuinely different? Because everybody is going to say the same thing. The reason why they came is because of the fact there's a need for leadership. But we realize that we have a lot of people who are looking for an opportunity. Over the years, you can see that has happened. They will come on the platform and they would say the same thing. Leadership matters. Performance matters. You give them a chance and they all do the same thing. And then you wonder, what does matters mean? Because they are performing, but to me, the performance is just like everybody's doing the same thing. But we at OFA, if we're a group of people, entrepreneurs, we're citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis first. We are entrepreneurs, we're professionals. We are not aligned with any of the political parties right now. We have tried to attract people who are new, who have the same mindset of wanting to not just look for an opportunity, but to make sure that our people are included in everything that we do. So OFA is about people. We recognize our people, they are our strengths. Our resources are within our people. And if we can look within our people and extract what is there, we'll have a better St. Kitts and Nevis. We can call St. Kitts and Nevis because we have all sorts of different ethnicity around here. And we are losing what we would have had, and there's a reason for it. And One Federal Alliance recognized that it's getting to the point where we are approaching the red zone, where it's a point of no return. And so we think that we have enough people, we have advisors, we have our own people who have the skills, the knowledge, and we think that if we go and we tap into those resources, we can make St. Kitts and Nevis a better place. And that is one of the reasons why we are entering the race, if I may call it a race. But we're not just here for today's election. We're here for the future, for future generations. Like I said, we are not just a political party. We're a group of people who recognize that St. Kitts and Nevis, that we are one federation, and we should come together as one, not just saying the word. And so we decide that we are going to seat 11 candidates, 3 in Nevis and 8 in St. Kitts. And that is basically what we are here for. We are here to like we always say, people need to be re-educated, change the status quo, change the rhetoric that we hear all along. We need to change that. If we are to change what everybody else has done, the first thing we have to do is re-educate our people. I think that is one of the things that we have to start looking at first and foremost.
Yeah, well, I must say, I just heard you said something where I must mention this gentleman, Mr. Burl Jones. You said your offer is intended to run 11 candidates. Burl used to mention why Nevis, they do insane, and the whisper here will take too much money and stuff like that. But no, OFA is going to do, this will be the first time something like this, if this is succeeded, where you have 11 slate is run both in St. Kitts and Nevis. Because is that right?
That is what we said. People have been saying that. We call ourselves one federation, but yet we are so divided. We have candidates from Nevis and parties in Nevis who run on their own, parties in St. Kitts run on their own. It's like when you look at sporting activities, sometimes, most of the time, you have a St. Kitts Nevis team, but there are no Nevisians on the team, so only Kittitians. So we have to change that status quo. We have to change. We have to really say what we mean and mean what we say. We have to not include, we are one. So it's not, and we said we are a party of inclusivity where we're going to include every citizen of St. Nevis and every citizen of St. Kitts, because we're one federation and we're going to operate as one.
Well, this look different. I mean, it's something I can't say. It haven't crossed my mind over the years why we function like this, why the tourism department and agriculture and stuff and the different agencies don't collaborate more, and especially like the health, even they do, but the collaboration is really, it's St. Kitts and Nevis, but yet St. Kitts still don't have a local government, but which is the federal government act as a local government. So it's a lot really going on. So at this point where we are, why OFA city needs to farm? What are some of the reasons why OFA need to be that change that will be better for the people? What will be some of the reasons that
The first
OFA is
reason is
at
that
this?
we recognize the first thing we recognize is that our people are not being used in the way they should. We've been made promise, and the promise has not been kept. We said before that our people are our greatest resource. We don't do that. We don't ever include our people. Our people are necessary when it's election time and we cast a vote, and then after that we have no say in anything. Everything is done for us. At OFA, what we decided we're going to have our manifesto in the first instance. We are doing some community connections where we're going to different community, introduce who we are, and we're listening to the people. We're taking the ideas from the people, not that we have our own, but we're taking the ideas from the people, the areas that they see that they needs addressing. We are listening to them, and we're going to make that part of our mandate. You know, the people put us there, and so we're in there to do people's work. And that is one of the things that we have recognized that is very deficient in most of the other political parties. What we have done, we've seen, and they have always said that they're going to do certain things, but there's no plan. For at OFA, we have plans. We have plans for every single thing we say we are going to do. We actually have the blueprint of how it's going to be done. We say we want to, in the first 5 years, we want to have our people working, at least 15,000 new jobs created. Yeah, everybody gonna say, "Oh, you're crazy." OFA is just no. But when we look at the environment that we're in right now, that would not be possible. We have to definitely change our environment. There are areas that is not the government of today and that of yesterday. They have not invested in. We have what they've done is the social programs. We see social programs, for me, they're good for certain people, but again, we don't want to keep all people in a mindset of dependency. We want all people to be able to become independent. We recognize they have the skills and they have the talent to become so. So what we want to do is invest in our people. And that is one of the things that the politicians say when it's time for election. But when you see the new technology that they try to invest in, foreigners is there. Why? Or people are not trained. And we have people who understand what is necessary for St. Kitts and Nevis. We operate not as Kittitians and Nevisians. We always look for infrastructure that doesn't suit us. It suits the development doesn't suit us. They bring people from overseas to come and do it, and they don't have an understanding of what is happening. And that is one of the reasons why we have problems after it's done, and they have to wait such a long time to get it done. And then maintenance, people are not trained to maintain what we would have put in place. And so we would always have to have foreigners in, and our people, I find, we found at OFA that they've been displaced. We want to make sure that we can invest in our people. We have lots of plans. We look at some areas, and I'm not afraid to say it because people say, "Oh, don't say it because government is going to take what your plans are." No, but the idea is to make sure that whatever plans we have, whoever is in power, we want to make sure that our people are going to be benefiting from it. So some of the areas that we're looking at, for example, agriculture. Agriculture, for me, you can see this gentleman who walks around and who shows all of the pineapples that he would have harvested, and he has no way to market his stuff. And they're there. What are we going to do with them? There's so much things we can do with, many things we can do with pineapple. And we haven't seen, it's not just about selling your pineapple on the side of the road. We have to have a market where, an outlet where these people can sell their stuff. All they produce, it can be sold at a market. Not you having to work so hard in the fields and then have to sit on the sidelines for a whole day trying to get your produce sell. And we're talking about food security. No, we have to revamp the agriculture system that we have in place and start to look at it in a 2026 era. and going forward, not how we used to do it long time ago. And we need people who understand what agriculture is about. So we're going to find people who knows what agriculture is about and not who's just looking for an opportunity and wanting to be a part of agriculture because of the fact that it's the only place that they can put them. So we want to invest in our farmers who have the knowledge and making sure that they can teach younger people coming up and that they themselves can become entrepreneurs and small business owners, and it goes on and on. We're looking at other areas where, for example, light manufacturing. We can look at. We once ago we used to have the shoe factory. We used to have the textile factory where people can make clothes. We have lots of designers here in St. Kitts and Nevis who came back and have no way to design their stuff and sell it on our own market. We bring things from Shein and all the cheap stuff from China. That's what we do, and we don't invest in what we have here as in our people. Our people have the talent to do that, and that is something that we have to start looking at. How we are going to create an environment that is conducive for our people to grow. We talk about growth. Growth for who? And so these are areas that we have to seriously look in. Bankie, you're an agriculturalist. I mean, you're into agriculture all your life. People like you who are supposed to be contributing to our young people, encouraging them instead of cleaning up the side of the road on a step or pep program. They can learn how to feed the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. We have that. We need to utilize that aspect of their talent and their skills. And so these are the things that we are looking at. You hear them, you hear the politicians now that it's time for election. They're talking about empowering our people. How? Which way? What are they doing? Infrastructural development is government responsibility. So if you do that, I mean, it's no new song and dance that you have to go on. That's your responsibility. But empowering the people is also yours, and it would make it so much easier if our people are empowered, and then we can depend on them to grow our economy. And those are the things that we have to seriously look into. I'm not any expert in this field. We have our experts are out there, and those are the people that we have to tap into. I listen to a lot of the time Danny Arthurton, and he has all these pilot projects that he's building, but he's a local, and so you're not going to utilize him as you should. You're going to bring in a foreigner because of the fact that you think that is where you should place your investment. We have to start investing in our people, and that is one of the biggest areas in OFA that we are seriously looking at. If we say people are our greatest resources, then we definitely have to empower them. That was a lot.
Definitely, you have said a lot. No, that
Yeah.
is a lot, and a lot of stuff that you said. I mean, I know the viewing and listening audience are listening, and by the time we open the lines, they're ready to make the input and their comment and stuff. But you mentioned for those who listening and not too sure when you mentioned promises were made, but promises were not kept. You can made a few examples of what to speak on that, and also you mentioned with the promise of OFA, you would like to in 5 years commit to getting up to 1,500 new jobs. Some might say, wow, that's almost at like 3,000 jobs per year, 3,000 jobs in each year. So I know there are promises where you're going to get X amount of houses, and then in a house bill, except a few, less than a dozen, and because they issue with contracts and just a lot of. So what would make this any different, and what kind of job will these be, and where will the fund? What type of jobs you're speaking about have in mind? I know you mentioned agriculture in some aspect of it. I'm not sure if that will be a part of the job employment aspect of it and stuff like that. So what will OFA outlook be when it comes to creating these jobs in 5 years? So that would be approximately 3,000 jobs a year if my maths is right, in a sense like that.
And to you, it might sound impossible. In this environment, definitely it's impossible. We cannot give 3,000 jobs a year in this environment. At UNESCO, they offer jobs for the Caribbean. I think it's about 32 different areas opportunities that they offer for the Caribbean. Our government have not tapped into that. They're still there. If we have our small businesses that we are not, you realize on a day-to-day basis, they're closing down. It's sad. Sometimes it makes me very teary when you walk to a space where our small business was there and they're no longer there. I can tell you the hardships that we go through as small business owners. There, we see the Chinese coming. We don't understand how they, but they got and they got financing to come out, and what they do is come out get financing when after 3 4 5 years they're millionaires, our monies that we would have invested in them, and they will send it back to China, and then we would have to, we don't, it's not, the money is not circulating in our economy. Then you said and you see all the other foreigners, if you want a haircut you go to a barber, who's he? If you want some food you go to a restaurant, who's the chef? When you're looking for
Okay, let me say this. Let me say this right there, right? You see, the issue is us, you know. We supporting. Remember, nobody putting a gun to our head, you know. We're going to support these businesses, and then we walk past living local businesses and building other businesses with some money gonna go. Or nothing like supporting other business, but not just outright shut lists, but where you blanketly shut out your own people, and we are the one where is the problem, and I can have to get some shot from my kind of problem, because we support these businesses, you know. Then I force you to come
But
in, then we're
at
going
the
to
end of the
willingly.
day, that is so true, Banky. But at the end of the day, our small business owners or small businesses, we don't grow because you start off with $10,000. You have to buy the stuff, and every time you buy the stuff to replenish, you have to pay. Then you have electricity in there. You have to pay a
Concession, you need
workforce. So,
concession, you need all this, you need the same incentives of large
exactly. So we
businesses that's
need
given.
exactly. That's exactly what I'm looking at. If the government will provide incentives for these small businesses, it would be much better. And these are what we are seeing right now, that small businesses are going up because when you come in, the freight has gone up. It's very expensive. We have to go up on our prices. Can we? We can't, because most of the stuff that we're selling, they're not necessities as such. I mean, you have people who have packed stores and people don't have to buy those things. There are people like me who sell ice cream. That's a luxury. It's not a necessity. And so people, you have to. The freight has gone up, electricity has gone up. Can you really raise your prices? No, because then people are already struggling. So what do? You recognize that they are calling to the old people, the dance can't pay for the light. But again, government doesn't have, there must be some area where you can get grants in opposed to loans and help some of the small businesses. When you help the small businesses, you help government. And that is something that you have to understand. I remember in the era, in the 1980s, we had a growing a very thriving small business industry, and think it was booming because our small businesses was thriving. We didn't have this problem, but now what you realize is that because the government has derived a plan of keeping our people dependent, you come up with social programs like PEP and STEP, and those, you're creating a lazy mindset in our people. But at the end of the day, this is what they're satisfied with because there's nothing else there. So what we are saying at OFA, we are going to change that. We're going to offer jobs. You asked me how. I gave an example. For example, the Barefoot, it was a dairy's, an area that we
A
used to
dairy farm. I visited when I was
yeah,
in fifth
dairy
farm
farm.
in high school with the
Okay,
whole steel
good.
cows and stuff like that, the black and white one. Beautiful farm. I did
Great.
always blow my mind. I remember that vividly. Yeah.
Great. So then these are things you can bring back where we can make our own butter, our own cheese. We don't have to import those things. And it's your job availability. When you do that, you're offering jobs to all people. You don't have to put them to cut on the side of the road. You can go on Pinterest and learn how to make cheese. The information is out there. Why we can't invest in certain things like that? Okay, you're talking about, that's one of the areas. I told you about the fact that we can go into this textile area. We have a lots and lots of designers who use that as a part of their livelihood, and they went to America, they came back here, and there's nothing here to do. We need to open our own textile factory instead of buying those cheap things from Shein. And you hear the textile, the cloth that they use is carcinogenic, it's causing issues, and we still allow those things. That's what I'm saying. We can start reinvesting in our people. You talk about, we said at OFA, we are going to create incubators where we're going to give small businesses a chance, at least 90. We're going to give small businesses a chance, try to alleviate all the overheads that they're accustomed to, the high rent and everything. So we keep them there for at least 3 to 4 years, and they would build themselves, move over. But after they think they've built enough, move over and encourage others to come to. It's an ongoing thing because
Why
we're
this
not just.
incubator thing sounds so familiar? This incubator million from another party, NRP, been speaking about for a few years now. I mean, setting up small businesses and give them a chance for this own a business. So similar idea.
Okay,
Similar
well, I
idea.
don't know, but
Yes.
the thing about that, NRP was there already, and NRP should have used that time to create those. Or if I haven't been
Well,
not
they
been
didn't
there,
win.
but we
They
see
win.
the
I
need.
got you. Yes. Go
We
ahead.
see the need now. We see the need now. We see the need to do that. As a matter of fact, there are lots of other things. But like I said, we have to re-educate. First thing, we have to start looking at our education system. We have a situation, Bankie, where people who are academically inclined, good for them. 16 and 18 and 20 subjects. Why? Where is that going to carry you? What about the man who can, the young man who is interested in um in air conditioning and refrigeration? What about that man? Those are the starting from grade first form. Why you don't get people? This is what you want. What are you going to force them to do?
Okay.
Force them for another
I
2 years?
want to have to interject again, because you see, these things speaking about. Dr. Kelvin Daly always speaking about these things again. The incubator, though, that was when he was running his ideas, but he didn't win his seat. So I got to stand and he'd speak about skills and training. So these are familiar ideas. So I guess you guys both have conversations. You guys seem to on the same part because this is what
Well,
the
I think
central bank governor will speak about skills. Because this is really the way. You understand when it comes
yeah.
to your home, your AC, whatever it is, nothing is no skills. Even if being a lawyer is a skill, but we tend to separate and call things profession and then what are skills, and that is a sad mistake our society and throughout other places have been making. You see,
Well,
because
you see, that's
it wouldn't exist without skilled workers. NASA would not hire unless you're a skilled worker either, because you have to be
exactly.
able to use your hand. That's the whole. So a liar good at emote, he still have to go with that pending and reading. So everything is just basically skill, but we turn everything into profession in this modern world, what we call it. But I had to say that your ideas is similar very to Dr. Daly one. So I just wanted to put that
Well,
in there by the
maybe we
route that
need
you're
to
going.
connect with Dr. Daly. Maybe we need to connect with Dr. Daly, because if we are thinking the same way, that's what we are. We are not here to divide. We are here to bring together. We said we are a party of inclusivity. So if Dr. Daly and us share the same ideas, we can sit with him, and maybe he can be a part. We can align ourselves. That's what we said. We are an alliance. We can align ourselves with Dr. Daly and see what is best for the island of St. Kitts and Nevis. That's what we are here for. We're not here because we're promoting segregation. We're here if Labour has the same policies and the same ideas, and we can come together and work along with them. PAM, PLP, NRP, CCM, what's the name? Hazel Brandy, and Cleone. If we all can come together and choose the best of us and work together to make St. Kitts and Nevis the best place, the best islands in the Caribbean, we can do that. We have the skills, we have the know-how, we have the people who can do that. We have advisors, like I said to you, like Bankie Yahsonn. We have a man like Wall Isaacs who wants to make $1 million. He thinks about how to make $1 million every day. If we can get those mindsets or people to start thinking that way, could you imagine what we would create? And these are the things that we're looking at. We want to move away from this political party thing where you're Labour, you're PAM, you're PLP. We don't want that. We want to see how best we can develop St. Kitts and Nevis, how we can bring us back to where we were. It was slow, but we are moving away from the vision. And so we have to start getting our people back to looking at that. And that is what OFA is all about. We're about, like I said, we're about unity, not division. We're here to create a unified group of people and help to eradicate some of the divisions that was created by other political parties. You listen to them on the platform, and PAM has nothing to say and abuse Labour. Labour has nothing to say. They're going to talk about PLP. We don't, no, and OFA, we don't do that. We talk about our people. We talk about how are people, we as a party, what can we do to help our people? to empower our people, to encourage growth, to help our young people coming up to operate in an environment that they can thrive. You look at this. We have one of the best neurosurgeons. He is not in, he's from Nevis. He's not here, he's in Jamaica. And we're importing neurosurgeons. How what are we thinking about? We have some of the best doctors, they're not here. When you go to America because you take a flight and you go to America because you think they can save your life, it's our own you're gonna see. Why are they not here? And so that is one of the reasons. That's what we have to look at. We have to look at a way in which an environment that is conducive for them to go away and come back and study. We know that they were intelligent. We send them, let them come back. We have to create that area that would excite them for them to come back, encourage them to come back. These are things that we have to seriously start looking at. Everybody's saying that, yeah, all of these political parties, there's some of them who are here for an opportunity. We are not that kind of party. We are not here to look for an opportunity. We are new people. We are professionals. We are entrepreneurs. We are skilled people. And we're just hoping to see how we can work along with the ordinary citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis and to create what the other parties are saying. They're saying they're going to create they want to create a stable economy. How? They're always saying what they're going to do, but how are they going to do it? That is the question that we ask. That is the difference between us and them. We know. We have sat down with people who have an understanding, created the blueprint, so we know if we are elected from day one, it's full. We are ready to go.
I just want to say no and welcome our other co-host or the host, Yahsonn Tofari, to the conversation and to introduce him to our guest, Miss Sandra Queely Aurtherton. Yahsonn, how are you doing?
I am giving thanks and praises, and it's really a pleasure and an honor to be on this edition of the Topics with our very special guest this evening, Miss Queely Aurtherton. I got in a little bit late, and I got in a bit on some of the things that she's proposing that OFA is going to offer, and it sounds pretty exciting and pretty interesting, you know. To note also that there are seemingly some new parties, because I don't think OFA is the only new party. I've seen a new party that is popping up here on Nevis as well. And I've heard of one or two other independent candidates, and I think there's another party I think would have formed on St. Kitts in recent times. So it's quite interesting, the political atmosphere at this point. And so I am really looking forward to the continuation of this discussion and eventually asking or posing some of my questions along as the journey continues. So, Ms. Queely, welcome to the Topics, and I am really looking forward to hearing some of the new initiatives that you guys plan to, because I guess you should know that it would not necessarily be an easy walkover. In this space as a new party especially. So I do look forward to some of what you guys propose and how you guys propose to doing it. So welcome, and I look forward to the continuation of the engagement. Bankie?
Thanks for joining. Thanks for joining. It's a pleasure.
Yes. I know currently right now what's going on in Sync, a lot of the capital projects have been put overseas. Well, some of the businesses might be in St. Kitts, but especially Bastia High School, that one, most of the construction are the preferred building and stuff like that, and the steel work, everything is more or less done over, is subcontracted, given to a contractor outside in Barbados. And you hear work up hospital, you hear work about building over 5,000 or 6,000 homes and stuff like that, and confusion between a company out of Trinidad and all this different stuff. You hear about money given to without own and interest to large entities we think is making millions, like the Marriotts and all these, the Christoph Harbour and these entities not paying back their bills and all this different stuff. Why our own people not given this opportunity? What will OFA do different to convince the people? Small businesses are mentioned not getting the opportunities like other businesses and stuff like that. Because I, for one, know we can, as you speak, that we're not investing in ourselves, but we keep saying it, and yet the people keep divided between party lines and just want to know their parties in power. It's just like we all paying the high electricity bills, but we just here still standing up. We're not marching, we're not protesting, we're not asking questions. So we are the proper people. We are allowing the elect to run the country. So why will we not having this conversation if this offer is not become given a chance to lead?
Well, I must tell you, and that's a very good question, Bankie. We've just started OFA. We had first to create our back office and making sure that the promises that we're going to make that we can keep, and the jobs projects and everything that we say that we're going to do. We had to come up with ideas of how we're going to get it done. Not just ideas, but we had to make sure that they are not just an idea or a political gimmick. It is the reality of what is necessary. So that was the area that we first had to work on. We had to work on our constitution, and we had to start looking at what we would offer in a manifesto. We were working on budgeting and all of those other things that we had to put in place. Other political parties, when they come, that's not something. They first go out and they want to look at investors and how they can make money. We are trying our best to work with our own people. We make our own people our investors because, as you know, when you go outside and you solicit people's money, at the end of the day, your political party benefits, but the people who think it's the news are the ones who are stuck with the bill, and we are stuck with the inconveniences, and we are the ones who are deprived, and these people are the ones who benefit. That's something you see starting from the political party level, and it goes out into when you become the government, then we have to basically foot the bill. You know, one of the things I could never understand though, Bankie, you say it all the time, we've had some discussions with the people. I can't seem to understand that people are seeing these things. They have a good understanding of these things. They see where they have been displaced. They understand they're the ones who, when taxes, when high cost of electricity, when there's no water, they're the ones who suffer. But yet still they vote for the same political party and they put them in. These are things that we see, and these are the challenges that we see from our OFA perspective. So that is one of the reasons why before we came out to the people, we had to make sure that when we come out and say things, they were not just promises. These were the realities that we look at what people are facing and how we're going to fix them. You have all of those people running as independent. We don't want to align with people who don't have the same, basically, who are not carrying the same message. When you run as an independent, you have to align yourself, if you should win your seat, with a party maybe that you don't agree with their policies and their philosophies. And that is one of the reasons why we decided we're going to run 11 seats. So we're going to run with 11 people who basically have the same message and understand what our people, the grievances of people, and how we are going to fix it. So asking the questions of how we're going to do it. We see these people are coming through what we're going to do. The housing project, let's talk about construction. We understand that even the Bastille High School is being built in Barbados. Concrete is concrete. Pillars are pillars. They're going to build slabs. They're going to have to send them down. They're heavy. So, you know, the cost of bringing them down is going to be more expensive. Why couldn't we send our people to be trained? And they're contractors. We have and they're the ones who have to lay them, so they must have an understanding. So why not send our people to be trained, and then we can come back, and if that's the way you want to build the Bastille High School, if that's the method you're going to use, then our people are trained to do it. We have contractors here. Why we have to always go outside and look for foreigners to come in, and then they will come in and hire our contractors? What is that saying about what the government think of our people? We have new technology in how building houses. We don't have to stick to the same old. People can go bring people in, of course, to train our own, and then they can take over. But you know why they're not doing that, Bankie? Because when they say a house, the project costs 200 million and it only costs 10, nobody seems to know where the other 190 million would have gone to, and nobody's going to be held responsible for that. You see, people, you're talking about a contract that you would have had with a company. The company decided couldn't honor the contract, what happens? Nothing. Why? Because monies have already been given on the table for the people who would have contracted them. And that is why they're not using our people. Because at the end of the day, they cannot benefit as much. And that is why I said they are opportunists. We don't want that anymore. All people have to say they've had enough and not just say, I've had enough. You said it, Bankie. What happened to the protests? Or people are going to just sit down and watch. You can't afford to pay for the electricity, and then they're going to come and they're going to cut it off. But then um, Christoph Haber could have gotten how many millions that they went over with in electricity they didn't pay for, and they got that reprieve. They were allowed to leave, and nobody stopped them. And no, I mean they got that forgiveness. What about our ordinary people? Government understand our struggles. We are fighting to stay afloat. Do they understand our struggles? No, they don't. Because they're not running a small business. They don't have an understanding of how to run a small business. They went into government for an opportunity and we gave them. And they're just in there. But now it comes to the end of it. They want to continue. They're going to start doing things that they should have been doing since 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Now they're going to start rushing it. Sooner or later, we're going to see the problems that we would have had. You have had governments starting the solar farm. Another government come in and decide, no, we're not doing that one. We're going to start our own. Why? Can't we see what is basically the motive here? It's how much money that they can make. Then they have not made any money on it. That we heard about this the prison project. That was a big thing. That is basically what got PLP out of power. But look, it's still there. It's still something that they're continuing. We have all the stats, we have all the information, but as a people, we go out and we vote for these people again. Why? Because of the fact that you have these social programs and they've kept us in a mindset of low income and dependency. So we are dependent heavily on them. That is one of the reasons. We have to get away
Yes,
from that. We noticed that at the end of the day, Bastia High School have been a promise made how many years ago? Nobody delivered it. Now you come with another. I don't even want to use the word. I don't want to use that word. So I'm not going to use it. But you come with another way of fooling our people about you're going to get the slabs down in Barbados and bring them here. Our schools have been built in Barbados, and we have contractors here. If you're saying our contractors are not good enough, then try to train them. Then, if you see a better method of building houses or building schools and building high-rise building in Barbados, then get our people out there to learn the technology and come back here and do it. Why are we sending all that money to Barbados?
Or people have the skill set to do those kind of work, man. Everything. Or people are easy. You know, we have some of the best builders and contractors and creative people when it comes to architecture and building. And that all people are very, 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 very intelligent. They work all over in the outside world and can do the work here itself. But Yahsonn, any question to add to the conversation? And also remember the telephone lines are open if you all want to be part of the conversation. 869-662-7196. Yahsonn, go ahead.
Yeah, people, just want to remind you the numbers to call in 869-1616. I'm sorry, 869-662-7196. And we want to encourage you to also, wherever you are listening to us, whether it's on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch, we want you to subscribe to the platform, click on the notification bell so that you're informed every time we have a program here on the air. Ms. Queely, I know I got in a little bit late, so I don't know all of the questions
And
that were
also, you can get in some of the comments when I get a chance to that are already coming in, so at least we stay up to par before they get in too much as the shows go on.
Right. Okay. But I heard you in your utterance a moment ago mention the fact that you guys are gonna be fielding candidates, 11 candidates, right? Which means that you're gonna run the 8 and SIN kits along with the 3 that's also open for Nevis, which is kind of interesting. We have not really heard even any party in any recent times seeking to take or look to get those seats on Nevis. How ready are you at this point? What stage are you guys organizationally? Building, recruiting, already fully prepared, or are you still looking for people to fill some of these?
We are recruiting. Sorry. We are recruiting. We are building and we are recruiting. We don't want to just put somebody in a position. We want to make sure that the people that we attract and the people that we are going to give are people who have a genuine interest in the constituency that they place. So if we have two people running for constituency number one, they're not, we can't say that one is going to be or the other. We look at the fact, like you said, we had the community connections. We are going to take them all to the people, and the people are going to decide, because we're going to get a feedback of what they would have done in their community and what they can do. And like, of course, they have to come with ideas and have a good understanding of what their community lacking and the areas of strength in their community, and so that will help us to build. So we're in the process right now of recruiting new candidates. We are recruiting members, people who have the same mindset. We are a new party, and people would not come to us unless they know who we are. And so that is one of the reasons why I'm grateful. Thank you, Yahsonn, and thank you, Bankie, for allowing us the opportunity that we can actually take over to the people.
You're welcome.
The people have an understanding of who we are and what our intentions are. We're not just an ordinary political party just like the others. We are people invested, and that is one of the difference between us. And we're not just saying that. And you asked the question, where we are at right now with the people. It's not difficult, but there's some challenges, because we don't want every and anybody who just want to jump on the bandwagon. We want to have people who resonate with our message, people who are genuinely about people and not about an opportunity, because that's what people think that politics is all about, is a get-rich scheme. I have no position that I want to take in politics. I want to be a whistleblower. I want to make sure that what we say we're going to offer the people is exactly what we're going to give to the people. I've been trying to be in that position for years. But I suppose people don't want you there, because at the end of the day, they know what you stand for. And if I don't align with the political parties, I'm not going to run with them. And that is why I'm here, and decided to look at people who are new and people who are seriously interested.
So at this point, do you guys have a manifesto or policy document that the public can review, or you're not at that stage yet?
Yes, we have that. We have a manifesto that we would have looked and see what is absolutely necessary, but we don't want to do that. Our manifesto is a mandate of the people. We want to make sure our manifesto, the information that we have in there, is problems that the people are having, and areas that they have of long-standing concerns. So we don't want to just come and like all this. I can guarantee you, if you look at Labour's manifesto, 95% of the things that they would have promised in 1980, they're still there. If you look at PAM manifesto, it's the same thing. It's just a recycling. I've seen how they come and they gather the manifesto. They want to make sure that it's catchy, it's attractive. People would want to think that this is what they're going to do. They're not their policies. If you look around St. Kitts and Nevis right now, we have political parties in power. CCM, we have NRP, we have Labour. You can look around and see what Labour policies are. If you look and see what is happening in the communities, if you see what is happening in St. Kitts, can you stand afar off and say, okay, this is Labour's policy based on the things that they're doing? No. You can't see any trace of their policies. As a matter of fact, do you know what their policies are? And that is one of the things that OFA, what we made sure. We took the time out to make sure that our policies are not just wordings. They're not just things that we get up and say. Our policies must resonate with the problems that the people are having, and the way in which we're going to make St. Kitts and Nevis what we said, an economy that is growing, and one who has whose food is safe and secure, and our young people are empowered and invested in. That is what we say we are going to do, and we have an idea of how it's going to be done. Not an idea, we know exactly how we're going to do it.
So what would you say is would be your three top priorities, like on your agenda right now, the top three priorities of OFA at this point?
Okay, we have 5 pillars that we are going to focus on, but I'm going to tell you 3. We have one of productivity. I said that to you guys. That's one of the things that we're going to focus on. We need our economy to grow. And we have the resources now that would help our economy to grow. We have areas, it's not people saying, where are you going to get the money from? You have to first have jobs. You have to first work to bring money in order to get money. We are not depending on anybody else. We're depending on our own, ourselves, our talents, and the skills of our people. We said that that's why we're investing in our people. Then the other focus, we have one of inclusivity that we said that. We're going to include Nevis and St. Kitts. We are building and see how we can include what happens in St. Kitts. The same thing happens in Nevis. For too long, we have had the St. Kitts and Nevis. I'm Division, if you don't know. I can tell you of the stories and the struggles that we had as young people coming up in Nevis, not realizing that we were then a federated, a statehood, so that we could, we were looking for things from St. Kitts never came. We're always separated. We have the heading, we are federal, but we are federation, but we don't operate that way. We do. Nevis have his own island administration. I think it doesn't have one. We have a federal government, and so those are the areas that we said, and we're going to look at growth. Growth is something that we need to seriously start looking at. We have to grow. We have the resources for us to grow, and we have to use them. We have to utilize them. We have to move away from. We have money. We have sold how many passports, and you're going to tell me that we still don't have money? Then the question is, where did the money go? There's money, but it's been mismanaged. We have to start to make sure that our governments are held accountable for the things that they are doing, and we are suffering. Our Social Security is suffering. We are paying into Social Security. At the end of the day, what are they going to do? They're going to increase the age. Why? Because they won't have enough money to start to sustain it. These are the things we have to look into. Or people have to be aware of what is happening. They're not saying that, and they're campaigning to go back in office again. But there is money. There was a CBI program, and there are other ways of making money. But they're not looking at that way. They don't want to make money. They want money that they can use. And it is something that we've been doing for over the years. That is something that we as a people have to say, enough is enough. We have to start holding our governments accountable. We say it all the time. We always say that. We don't do anything. We can protest. We can walk around peacefully and protest. We would have had enough. In 1993, what would have happened? They said they would have had enough and the storm come out of office. I'm not inciting. But we said we saw people when they were fed up what they could have done. And we are saying that we are fed up. And what are we doing? Nothing? No, enough is enough. We are, like I said, OFA is new. And so people would ask, why don't we lead? We knew we had to make sure that we were what we have something to offer the people. We didn't want to just come out and say we are a new political party because we want to create a new political party. No, we have to make sure that we understood the problems and that we were not an alternative. We are the solution. And that is one of the things as we present ourselves, not as an alternative government. We are the solution to most of the problems that we have here in St. Kitts and Nevis. We have people like Bankie and you that are speaking to both of you, and you know how. Reach out, start, you know how you can serve the people. Don't step back. Bankie, you think it's a hard thing to do because people can't decide to change mindset. It's not difficult. People operate in an environment that they're in. You have to change the environment. You guys are ready for that. So let's do it.
Well, I hear you. I hear you said earlier that you are from Nevis, and that's pretty interesting and that's pretty good. You said that also OFA intends to field candidates in Nevis. As a New Vision, one, you should have a perspective to some extent. But how do you expect New Visions to receive the party if it contests seats on Nevis?
Nivians should realize that, and they've been complaining. The Nivians are the strangest people. I am Nivision. They've been complaining. They're not satisfied with what you have. If you're not satisfied with what you have, you change it. I've asked you, Yahsonn, because I've spoken to you and you awed me. You and Bankie, I've been awed by the conversations that we would have had. And I can't believe that these are the kind of talents that we have sitting down and nobody is really going and encouraging you guys to give back to what you have to the people, or feed what you have to people. Vision should be supposed to, and when you hear things, one of the things I can't blame them for is the fact that when you listen to political parties, then informative, they don't educate the people. The government's always who did this and what that, why not destiny, so no, we're not talking about the problems that we are facing right now. And so that's why I find it difficult for Muslims sometimes to want to make a decision. What they do normally, when they're tired of it, they just don't vote. We need to stop that. We need to encourage people to vote. We have to look at our people who can help. We have people like Danny Arthurton. This guy is a wealth of knowledge. We're not investing or we're not getting enough from him. He just wants to vote. He have all these programs, these programs. Do banking. I've spoken to you, talk about agriculture, you do this all your life. That is not food security. That's all the same thing. I've had discussions and I'm trying to encourage you guys to take up the mantle of being the way it's supposed to be. But you're not doing it. So how can you guys now
It
want
look
to
like
have
it
people?
look to you. It look to you like the people want help. I tell you, I get some shot
Huh?
put on the people who want to help. We like it so. We got
You
high. We
said
got
that.
69%. We are paying, and we power bill. My power bill was 480, and now we got $388 per surcharge. You hear anybody making nice things? So
But
we're
you
not
see,
convinced the people need help. So
the people
But
need
Banky,
help.
what would offer do different in these kind of things? Because you see, the reality is, our policy makers have to put in place, take us and took our interest. It's not happening. And this been happening
Okay, let me
under
tell you what
all
let me tell
political
you what OFA is
parties.
going to do. Let me tell you what OFA is going to do. We recognize that the sugar industry, we had to close it down. You know why? We were operating an 18th century sugar factory in the 21st century. That wasn't going to work. We couldn't compete. We recognize now, and we see all of the problems that we're having, where the Strait of Hormuz is closed. We're gonna can't get gas, oil, we can't get what we need. And so therefore that is one of the reasons they're gonna use as a excuse why we have to go up on electricity. They're not gonna tell people that the government has misused the money and so they're using this opportunity now to make it look like it's a situation that has to happen. Also what we're going to do, we're going to invest in new technology. There are lots of new technologies out there. We talk about we've been talking about geothermal for the longest while. What they've done, every time a new party come in power, they're not going to talk about geothermal. So it's interesting now that the people who oppose geothermal are the ones who want to push it now. Isn't that strange? Because when you look and see, they have no foresight, or people lack knowledge, or leaders lack knowledge, and they don't want people who have the know-how to teach them or tell them anything, because who they are, they're the alphas. And that's the difference between us and them. We are going to make sure that we use the intelligence of our people. Like I said, you all are our resources. Everybody have a good idea. They come, we sit there and see how we can make this idea work. Geothermal is supposed to have been a long thing. Look at Dominica. They have started theirs. Why haven't ours started? I know for a fact that Royal Isaac has been doing very well. He's been going out and he's been looking for investors. He's trying to invest, encourage all people to invest in it. And what are we doing? We're waiting for foreigners to come in and do that investment. That is something that we have to seriously start looking at. We have to seriously start looking about empowering our people. We're gonna wait now. We can
well,
start looking
well,
at look at the desalination plants.
you
Look at
did say earlier that Nevis is an interesting. I think it's Nevis is an interesting place, and some of the things that we do are quite interesting as well. You're asking back some of the questions that we have been asking here on the platform in relation to some of these same issues. Now, one of the things that I wanted to get to before we moved off of the Nevis scenario, and this would have been my kind of final question in relation to the Nevis side of things. And especially seeing that you are from Nevis, I think it is perfect to be able to have you in a position like this, because the next question I had was, what does OFA offer specifically to Nevis beyond the general federation-wide promises? Because promising, well, if you get the 3 seats and so on, but we know right now the situation that Nevis is in. We have only 3 seats. We can only maybe have a say if we at the end of, let's say, the federal election, at how it is structured at this, that maybe, let's say, one party get 3 seats and then they may be able to join up with another party and so on. the possibility of even having a prime minister on this side is very slim. Well, what does OFA plan to do in terms of, really addressing the issues of Nevis from a federal standpoint? What
But
could we
Yahsonn,
expect?
let me say this. Remember, let me add this inside there. Because Yahsonn, I remember there was a team unity government where Nevis had 3 federal ministers. Alexis Jeffers was in charge of also agriculture at St. Kitts and in charge of agriculture at Nevis. So it's not like he existed, but it's how
So
the
let me ask you
ministers
a
they
question then.
benefited to
Let me ask you a
Nevis.
question then,
You see what I
Bankie.
mean? So in the
Let
it's
me ask you,
not new. So
okay,
go
let me
ahead.
ask you a
Just
question.
want to clarify that.
It's
Yes.
nothing new. But then who do you blame? Okay, listen what I'd offer what we constitutional reform is something that is necessary. Serious is something that you have to seriously start looking at. I like what you just said, Banky. We've had 3 ministers at one point in time from Nevis on St. Kitts. What did they do for Nevis? So what does that say to you? That people who you put there, they're not interested in Nevis people. They are not interested in Nevis people. They at one point in time was in a very good position because if they had pulled the rug, which they did later on, but if they had pulled the rug earlier o'clock, Nevis would have been in a much better position. Of course, we could have a prime minister from Nevis. Why not? We could have a prime minister from, if we are a federation, a prime minister can come from either St. Kitts or Nevis. We're running a federal government, not because we have 8 seats in St. Kitts and 3 seats in Nevis. That is something that you have to change because if you're going to use that equation and recognize, oh, that the prime minister should come from St. Why? Because we are always operating on how it was done all along. We have to be willing to change. We have to be people who you can come with not just an idea, but you come with a know-how why it should be done, and it should be able to accept change. Why can't so we would never have a prime minister from Nevis? That's the question. Because of how the system is. That is one of the reasons why we are in there. We're going to change systems. There's a lot of things that need to be changed. We have to sit with the people and recognize what the problems are. And we definitely, not that, like I said, not that we don't know, but we don't want to make it out something that we're giving to the people. We want to make it that something that the people want. You've been wanting that for too long, and we've been sitting as divisions and not asking for what we want. We're just going with the flow. It is a shame that we would have had 3 ministers from Nevis and nothing was done. As a matter of fact, the 3 seats from Nevis were 3 seats that was absolutely necessary. Is the 3 seats that make a difference? And nothing was done. So you can't blame St. Kitts because Nevis just accepted it. We have to change our mindsets. That is one of the things that we said we are going to do. We are going to change mindset. People have to start to think for themselves. We have to come from one of that mindset of dependency to one of independence. And when you're independent, you have a good idea of what you want and how you're going to get it. Mindset needs to be changed, Banky. I said it to you before, and I'm
Yes.
going to continue
Okay.
to say, we can do it.
Let me say this. Here, what we realize, Antigua election, St. Vincent election, I'm already in those environment, but I never heard the people who living in other places through the Caribbean and United States say they're going home to vote because they have policies. And I think under Bracha, there was a clause where you had to be on the island for 6 months to live in. Our policy is where people coming in from different territories and a lot of plane tickets is going out and all this different stuff, making electoral reform, constitutional reform, all these being on the island to vote. What are OFA plans?
Okay, OFA stands for not just for one federal alliance, but one federation abroad, meaning that the people in the diaspora, if they want to vote, we have to create a constituency there then that they can vote in. We want to cut this thing about bringing in. You can see what is happening. Our country is overrun by foreigners. You know why? Because that is an investment that the governments do. They invest in these foreigners because when they bring them here, they're going to vote for them. And that is one of the reasons why we have the problem that we have right now. These are the things that we need to stop. We have to definitely, I spoke to you about constitutional reforms. We talk about the same thing. We have to have electoral new laws that states that you cannot vote in a country unless you've resided there for no less than 1 year. 6 months is not enough. You can't, if you're here for 6 months, you don't understand the hardship that our people have to go through. It is sad when people can come in on a plane, make an X, and then go back. They're not here. They don't know what we have to feel. They don't understand sometimes what the changes that we have to make in order to send our children to school and to put food on our table. It is wrong. I've said it from the beginning, but nobody's hearing because it's as a matter of fact, the people on the outside, they would not have to. They can't criticize because they don't know what's happening here. They come here because they're on a ticket. Let me ask you a question. Bribery is a serious offense. It's a criminal offense. And we have that every single election. People are buying motorboats, people are giving monies, and it's for votes. People are buying beds, they're buying fridge, they're giving these things for votes, and nobody has done anything about it. Nobody has done anything about it. It's wrong. We say it is wrong, but they have all of those legal minds, and they're gonna come and say put different things. But bribery is bribery. This is something we want at OFA. These are the things that we really want. We know these are the things that's plaguing us, and that is why we find it's going to be a great challenge for people to even want to look at us and vote for us because they've already given their money for vote, and these are the things that we have to get rid of. These are the obstacles that we have to get rid of because
Well,
people are
Miss
not
Queenie,
listening. Huh?
I heard you mention the word bribery, and you pose a couple of questions in relation to bribery. I have one or two questions, right? And I know that they would eventually take up a little bit of time. So what I'm gonna do
Well, we
here,
can go take
and
a break with
it's
and then come back
yeah.
over.
So what I was gonna do, I was going to um taking some of the comments on the wall as well because there's a number of people who have questions on the wall, and I want to remind folks if you want to call in, the number is 1-869-662-7196. So if you're gonna take a break now, we could take the break and then we come back, and
Yeah, come back in with
then
the comments
we
and the
I'll come back in with the comments, and then I'll pose one of my questions, and then we get back into the discussion. So technician, yes, if you're listening, we can go to the break and then we'll be back.
At Shabazz Organics, we believe real people deserve real food. So we're bringing you to Mansa's Last Stop, a farm where food barriers are removed and legacy is sustained. We believe there's power in picking, so we allow you to decide what leaves the farm and enters your kitchen organically.
beat the summer heat. Come and get your carambola, star fruit, make very nice drink. You can come pick them yourself. All the trees them full of vitamin C, antioxidant, build up your immune system. Monster Last Stop. A whole shopping bag for only $10. Half a shopping bag you pay $5. If you get $2, you must get some. Come get your carambola. Don't want to go to waste. Let's go, people.
When comfort, class, and reliability matter, choose the ride that delivers more. Imperial Rides Transportation Services, where every journey is treated like royalty. From airport transfers, private events, shopping trips, island tours, and executive travel, Imperial Rides moves you in style, clean, comfortable, on time, every time. Book your premium taxi or tour service today. Call or WhatsApp 869-665-8459 or email elandflavas@gmail.com. Imperial Rides Transportation Services. Your journey, our priority.
And we are back, yes, with another edition of the Topics here on Real Entertainment Network. It's another beautiful Tuesday evening here in Oli and Liamiga, and we really want to thank all of you who have been locked in to us and make it your business to tune in on a weekly basis to be here on the program. You know, I mean, you could be doing anything else on a Tuesday evening, There are many other programs too that you can listen to as well, but you make it your business to tune in here with us, and we truly appreciate your time and your contribution. So that is why also for those of you who make it your business to comment on the walls, we try our best as much as possible to include your comments and questions and so on in the programming, and we encourage you to call in and to be a part of the discussion and the debate in that way. Also, those who are logged on, whether it's on the YouTube platform or it's on the Facebook platform, we're encouraging you to subscribe, especially on the YouTube platform. Even if you're on Facebook, we want to encourage you to take a 10 seconds, go on over to YouTube, look for Real Entertainment Network, click on the subscription button, subscribe to the platform. Your subscription helps us in, meeting the algorithms and helping to reach much more people, so that a lot more people can hear what you are hearing and are feeling excited and interested in being a part of. So we have Oliver Liebud, Ali, the honeyman from up St. Peter's, Bankie Hill area, says good night, Kings. And your Miss Q Arthurton also all on the night. Well, all who are on the platform, all who are on tonight. C. Gaskell says, good night, blessings, guys. Sandra, I'm looking forward to listening to your position and plans for the future. Thanks for making the time. Donna too says, good night, greetings from Atlanta, Real Entertainment Network team, Bankie Yahsonn, and to your guest,
Yes,
Miss Queely
greetings.
Aurtherton. Spyler Flicks is asking, is OFA anti-foreigner? And not necessarily to answer that question. I got a couple more questions that are following, but maybe I missed it. And somebody asked me a bit earlier as well. What does OFA stands for? You could, in the interim, just answer that.
One Federal Alliance.
One Federal Alliance. Okay, so One Federal Alliance. So that's what it stands for. People who was asking that question, OFA stands for One Federal Alliance. Okay, so C. Gaskell says party politics, tribalism is holding us back and keeping us divided. We seem to elect a leader to replace Massa. We don't need leaders. We elevate above us. Sorry, we don't need leaders. We elevate above us. We need leaders who live among us. Interesting. So I hope you're noting some of these things, because some of them might be questions that you may want to respond to. Mighty Servant says, question, Mrs. Arthurton, what is the political ideology of OFA, with same people who have in the past, present, spoken for other political parties? What now makes their messages different? Mighty Servants again says, how will OFA finance all the promises they are making to the people? And will OFA accept campaign financing from the same parties that are probably financing current political parties? Mighty Servant again, question, do OFA think the problem is the archaic governance system, or the people who are being elected, manipulation of said system? If yes, will OFA carry constitutional reform? Justin Huggins says, good night, my good people. Trevor Benjamin
Good night.
said, had money. It's clear that there isn't any. The citizens should be making the money. Instead, foreigners are the ones that benefit. C. Gaskell says, how much money does an election cost? I heard that the premier requested millions from the federal government to win his last election. We should reduce the number of elections and stop wasting. Trevor Benjamin says, King, the people need help, but they are afraid to speak out because of victimization. Mighty Servant, again, question mentioned was made about demonstration, but has OFA been petitioning the government for change? And I am speaking of tangible, meaningful changes. Tekel Selassie says, I am in late. What does OFA mean? Okay, so Tekel, you got the answer, I hope, because we just mentioned that. So it stands for One Federal Alliance. One Federal, okay, somebody answered it in the chat as well too. So C. Gaskell also responded. So thank you, C. Gaskell. So that response is in the chat. So for those of you who are on the YouTube platform, you would see that response over there as well. Trevor Benjamin says the government should not be using public funds for campaigns. Election funds should be declared. That should be made law. So maybe that's something that you need to document as well, because there's some serious questions where that is concerned. The Team Unity organization signed a contract that spoke to revenue sharing and sinkage, which is in essence overlooked. The constitutional arrangement. Does OFA see this as an illegal document? Trevor Benjamin, that's the problem I have with politicians. They all say the same thing about overseas voters, but after every election it works for them, and after election, nothing. Trevor Benjamin says, perfect example, Labour was all for election reform because it appeared as though the system was working against them. Now they're in, nothing. Trevor Benjamin again says, so maybe the problem isn't the system, it's the people. Lynetta Daniel says, is not that bribery to give overseas voters tickets to come home to vote? Question again. So you see, people are listening and people are weighing in and people have the questions. So that's why, as much as possible, we always try to include our followers, our listeners, in the discussion. Trevor Benjamin says we need to stop voting party. Instead, we should be voting conscience and policies. And so, Miss Arthurton, you can tell by the questions and the feedback from the public and our listening public that people are in tune, the people have questions, and there are a number of concerns that they do have. And so I'm sure that they're happy to hear that you guys are available, but a lot of the questions, based on what I am seeing, is along the lines of wondering what is it that you guys are going to be bringing different to the table. What is it that the people can look forward to say, well, this party is going to be bringing something new and something fresh to the table. Now, with all those questions still there, I want to remind folks that you can call in. A lot of the time, sometimes folks wait until the last minute to call in, and then, at the last minute, then we sometimes don't get to respond to some of the questions, or we have to limit their calls because of the time frame and so on. So we want to encourage you to call in, be as forceful, as passionate as possible, but also we want you to respect yourself, respect the platform, and respect our guests. You can be as passionate and as forceful as you wish, as that's something that we promote, but we just want you to be respectful, and we wouldn't want you to put the platform in any position to be, liable, and things like that. Miss Arthurton, I did say that after the questions and so on from the wall, I would have one or two questions, especially on the case of, you mentioned bribery. There's one question along that line that I know if I get into that side of it, it might take up a lot of the rest of the topic, but I'm not going to get there yet. In relation to cannabis, what is the position in relation to OFA, in relation to cannabis legalization, decriminalization, or the quest moving forward for that? I don't know if you guys would have taken the time to have studied the issue. What is your position? You could give your personal and you could also the party's position.
Right, I'm going to talk from a personal standpoint. Unfortunately, I would not be able to talk on OFA's behalf. It's discussions that would have had to be had, and how we have to have what OFA's position is on it. But as long as I'm a part of OFA, we have to understand this. Cannabis is a natural herb, and it's like you have to first understand the criminalization of cannabis came about where people were using the herb and they were adding things to it. For me, and you see a lot of those young guys walking around, and it was not just pure cannabis. They now recognize that there medicinal benefits that can be derived from cannabis. They are not just medicinal benefits. There's so much things that can be derived from cannabis. I didn't know that hemp was, until I was told, hemp is the seed of the cannabis, and there's so much things that can be derived from the seed of the cannabis. We have to stop looking at it at how it was introduced first and start looking towards the future of what it can do. What I think as a government that they should be able to do is do a proper analysis of the herb. You have people who are going to use it. It doesn't matter what you say about it. They're just like alcohol. If you can legalize alcohol and alcohol does the same thing, basically not the same thing, but you can get in a stupor, you can do things when you're under the influence of alcohol, and it is still legalized. So we have to start looking at the fact that there's no medicinal benefits to alcohol, but there are medicinal benefits to cannabis. You have the CDB aspect of the cannabis that we now know that people are using it for cancer. They're using it to alleviate pain. There are lots of things. There are a lot of medicinal usage that they can get from the cannabis. So what we have to do is basically sit down and see how, because there are other countries that sell it on a large scale. I mean, it's a plant that you can use for exports. And it can bring money. It can help bring money again into the country. So we have to. This is from me, my personal point of view. We have not yet sat down with the experts to give an expert opinion on what we can do. But for me personally, I really think it's time now that we should seriously sit down and have that discussion. Stop harassing our young people. If that is the way, if the jobs are not produced or are not prevalent, then they have to find some means and ways of living. You're gonna arrest a man for walking around with cannabis, but yet still a man who drunk all day, deprive their children of getting food because he's too drunk to work. A man who drunks and beat his wife, and a man who drunks and vandalizes the place, and he's allowed to go, and people yet still allowed to sell alcohol. We have to really sit down and be honest in how and what we are really doing. You know, that's for me. Like I said, that is how I've looked at it over the years, and I think that it's time for the discussion to be had. I know you
Okay.
guys are
Now go ahead. Finish your point.
I saw some some information that came out and said now that if you smoke cannabis for too long, it has now been responsible for heart diseases. These are things that they're going to bring. The big pharmacy is going to bring that out because, I mean, these are the things that they do in order to curtail or stop the natural oil, because they know that's where they make the money from, the drugs. How can you stop a natural drug, a natural plant, and you're going to encourage drugs? This drug is the problem.
Well,
Pharmaceutical drugs.
we hear a lot of those positions and so on, and a lot of that stems from another aspect of the cannabis that in some cases are not necessarily the concern of many of us, because many of us do not necessarily subscribe to the medical side, in the sense that we are not pushing for the ability to utilize it or make use of it from that aspect. We're pushing from the fact that it is supposed to be our constitutional right to be able to make use of the plant, and there is that discussion. So, well, what I would say really, I think not just your party, but even some of the present parties, I find, need to take some time out to really delve into this topic, especially seeing that it is, for me, the way I look at it, it is going to be one of the topics that's going to eventually be one of those deciding factors, so to speak, especially if you're going to be meeting a certain population of the electorate. So that is one aspect. So I would say that some further research need to be done to be able to appeal to that aspect of the society, because it's not only Rastafari who make use of cannabis, but it's used in all walks and form and shape. Doctors, lawyers, politicians themselves who are, making use of the cannabis and so on. So that would be an issue.
What I want to say
I,
between there, Yahsonn,
yes.
I just this. So we're in the week of music festival, and then next week we're gonna be in the week of the Mango and Food Festival. Then in the next couple of weeks within that is Culturama. We have a drug council division, federal, and they say the number one problem is alcohol. The number two problem is tobacco products. And the number three is cannabis, which the government is moving federally into medicinal cannabis industry. But by the time about alcohol, we keeping here much. I sure more than 20,000 gallons of rum are consumed in the music festival weekend. You hear anybody talking about that? These are cause the most heart disease, the most destroy all the organs. But this is what we entertain every day. You see what I mean? So something is wrong with the people. We are alcoholics, virgin. We embrace these things. We sit down anywhere in town and drink alcohol, and we drive and drink alcohol and all this different stuff. We have, and then no. And then
is the rum companies gonna be sponsoring most of these events?
Wait, and then you gonna have school children in the music festival between adults. Even some of them parents gonna kill them there because we have an age of consent, which may have a big issue with at 16. And still want to change these things, yeah. Can we not stop talking about them things, you know? And we want to hear these political parties talk about these issues too. So, no ideas. Everybody ask for ideas. Yes?
Let me say something now.
Go ahead.
We have to look if we are interesting about, because we know that if you abuse these herbs, it can pose issues. Just like you abuse alcohol, it can pose issues. We have to look at ways of, we can't just get up and say we're going to do it this way because we want to appease people. We have to seriously sit and see how we can manage. If it's legalized, how are you going to manage? How are you going to keep it? Because it's one of the biggest problems you have in schools right now, that the young boys and the girls are smoking marijuana. They don't have an idea. They don't even have an idea of what they're using it for. They're using it sometimes because they feel good when they're done. They fall asleep, and they would come with their own ideas.
Where they get these things from? So here they have adults selling school children cannabis. So who's selling school children cannabis? So
we have to find a measure of control. We have to find a measure.
Alcohol too.
Yeah, of course.
Adults are selling school children cannabis and alcohol.
But alcohol can be easily detected. Cannabis, you don't. You have to, the children will find in a grass area, they will smoke and they will come back. And of course, but if you have a bottle of rum, you're going to find it in your bag. You can put the cannabis anywhere that you can't see it. As places is easily hidden. So what we are saying, and I understand that, but we have to be responsible though. We have to make sure that
when it comes to cannabis, you can do blood tests, you can do hair follicle tests, and all these different things when it comes to using cannabis. Because you're going to stay in the bloodstream. Not if you have parents who having children in school and doing these things, and if they lie serious, you have to hold the parents accountable too. You understand? I grew up around cannabis and men act like that. So these things is based on the parents. You see what I mean?
Yeah. They're responsible for the house. So we have to know how. We have to have there's nothing wrong with it, but we have to be able to manage it though. We have to make sure that our young people don't get involved in it until they have an understanding of why they want to use it, just like alcohol. So when we are going out and we are at the point that they should legalize it, we need to come up with a proper plan. First thing is managing how we keep it out of the hands of children, because that is one of the biggest problems that we have. You have to. I mean, for you're a grown man, and you can suffer the consequences. Consequences. But when you impose these things on our children who don't have a good understanding, we have a lot of para youths walking around the place, and they have people give them spangers. They call them spangers.
This discussion is one that I find pops up a lot when the issue of cannabis is brought to the table. However, there's a lot of these concerns to some extent, but a lot of these issues surround a lot more of the public use side of it. You're talking about those who would, whether purchase it in a dispensary or get it somewhere legally from the medical side of things. However, there is the legal constitutional right when it comes to every adult 18 and over, and St. Kitts and Nevis, who has that ability, according to the Constitution, to grow, possess, and cure cannabis on their private property. So there's the private side of cannabis, and then there's the public use. And they would need a lot of education, because I find there's a lot of misconceptions as well where that is concerned. And so I don't have an issue where sometimes some of these topics that are brought to the fore, but then sometimes they're just limited to the smoking and the issues surrounding smoking of cannabis. And that is just one tiny fraction of the cannabis issue, smoking. Cannabis can be used for many other reasons that has nothing to do with smoking cannabis. But that is in itself a whole discussion, and I'm realizing that we are getting closer to the 10 o'clock hour. And I still haven't gotten in. You still haven't responded to some of the questions that are on the wall that came up earlier. And the topic that I was getting into, I saw somebody putting it up here on the table. He says, Yahsonn and King, I am yet to hear anyone in power or out saying anything about putting in the infrastructure on the south of Nevis that will empower landowners there that can keep Destiny out. So this brings us to that topic, the Destiny topic. So I would like to know where
she may have to come back, and next time we can spend tonight and just start. So we have to be very. So just saying that.
That is why I said.
Right, so we're not going to Destiny tonight on that.
The latter part, because I know you would take up a lot of the discussion. What are your OFA's position in relation to the SSZ and Destiny? And the bribing part is when I don't know if you're aware that Destiny has proposed to give every citizen $100 if they're willing to encourage the government to sign on to this thing, the federal government to sign on to this thing. What is your party's position on that and on the Destiny? And we hear from the Premier along with other people who says, well, mainly the Premier, who says that, people oppose it, but he's yet to hear of solutions or alternatives. Instead of doing that, instead of taking on the Destiny, then what would you propose from your side, if it's personal or even from OFA's standpoint?
We have Booby. Booby has been a place over there. It has land. It has a shoreline. You can get in and out of Booby. It's an area that has not been developed. If the government wants to bring or expand, they can. I think Booby is an ideal place that they can offer to Destiny, because the government have not yet given us a good
indication. Booby
Island. Booby Island is a good. It's a very good place. It's uninhabited, and I suppose that they can put Destiny out there. If they have money to develop, they can develop Booby. I don't think that's a big issue. Then Jew and Mark would have to see how they're gonna split the profits of Destiny there. Those are areas that they need to start looking into. Instead of bringing it in and bringing it amongst our people. How is Destiny going to work? I'm yet to hear a proper discussion of how is Destiny going to work and who's it going to benefit and who's going to be put at a disadvantage.
Me love Booby Island, so I'm not agree with one. I would love to have Booby Island for myself too, and plant it up and have a little chill spot. Yeah, man, that's a nice place. I'm indigenous to here, so if anything I give away, I'd rather get that, not to give it to somebody from Belgium or some other place. It'd be a different Booby Island for natives. But go ahead.
It has to be developed, and if that's one of the big issues, if they really, really want to bring Destiny here, then they should offer them. Of course, if they're having a discussion with the people of St. Kitts and Nevis and see whether or not they would agree. But I find that is the area that they should first start to concentrate on sending them to Booby. They can have their own place there. People have to take boat to get inside there again. Um, they could ask for passports and other thing. They're going to ask for who's their place. Of course, you might have visa to have to go in there. But it's on a serious note, though. It is something that a serious discussion have to be had. I mean, the way it was done in the first instance, I think that is where the problems lie, where people were not aware of what was going on, and then when they brought it after they would have had the discussion, is showing how we're going to be getting $100. That for me is an insult. Our people have to understand what they're worth. Anybody who's going to give you $100 definitely has no respect for you and don't have an understanding of what we're worth. And that is a sad. And I felt very upset when the premier could even come to our people and tell them that that is the plan that they have for us. They don't care about us. As another person would have asked a question about OFA's. I can't remember what the question was on the wall. Basically, why are we different? How we say, or what we claim, what is our claim to fame? Basically, why do we think that we're different? I would have answered that question in the beginning. I said to them that we are people-centered. We believe that all resources are in our people, and we don't believe in this party politics, would have caused lots of division there. And this is something that why we decided to have OFA as an alliance, and that we're going to align with our people, and our people would have more say than what we have right now. We don't want to create that dictatorship style. We want to have a style of inclusivity. As a matter of fact, that is one of our 5 pillars of focus, where we're going to include our people and making sure that every decision that we make, and people say it all the time, we can say it and it sounds like something new, and we're just saying that no, that is something that we really believe in. We're going to say things like what the others would have done and said, but they would have said things, but you don't see the plan for it. You've never seen it come true, but we can show you how we planned for what we are saying, and that is what makes us different, is that we have a plan. We have a plan that we're going to show you before we decide that you should give us a chance. We have a manifesto that like I said, we have already constructed, but it's not completed because we need to have the input of the people. We are basically carrying out the mandate of the people. We're not going to tell you what you want. We're going to tell you what we are offering. If you look in St. Kitts, and normally in Nevis the same way, everything is centered in our urban areas. The rural areas, no attention is paid to them. The roads are fixed in town. You don't have the same energy in the rural areas. We have 8 constituencies. We have 4, 5, 6, 7, and part of it. They're rural areas. But when you look and see where the government focuses its energy, most of the time is in town. We have areas that we have all kind of old buildings, and we're saying that we don't have land for people. Government, there are ways and ways of doing things. People are saying, I'm talking about where we're going to get money. Money is there. Money is there, but they're in the wrong places. We just have to make sure that the monies that are there, they're utilized for what we say we're going to do. We're going to empower our people. And then when we empower our people, then we'll be able to generate funds. I told you about the program that UNESCO have. 32 people can benefit. 32 businesses can benefit from that program. It's never been had. Nobody ever look into it from any government point of view. It goes and nobody pay attention to it. These are the areas that we're going to look into, and making sure when we say we're going to have 15,000 jobs in the first 5 years, we have an idea of where it's coming from. We're not just saying it because we want to get into office. We're going to tell you where the 15,000 jobs are coming from. And that is the difference between us and the others. They go up and they say things that sounds good. For example, I'm going to give you $1,000, and the other one say, I'm going to give you up to $1,500. Why are you giving somebody $1,000 and they're not doing anything? We have to cut out the social programs and make sure that we empower our people, that they can decide which kind of house they want to buy. If they want to stick with low income, they can build it themselves. But they have a job, and they will be able to make sure they get something that they want and not what we are giving to them. That is what we at OFA want to do. We don't want to give people things. We want to make sure that what they get or what they want, they are getting it for themselves, because we provide the means, we provide the resources so that they can have thriving businesses, and that their businesses can contribute to building a sustainable economy.
Well, Ms. Arthurton, you sound really, really good, and I'm really loving the kinds of initiatives that I'm hearing from OFA, and especially this part that you spoke to in the latter part here, where you speak about that inclusiveness of the people, because that is an area that is, I find, very much lacking. I find in our system, the only democratic thing about our system is the right to vote. That's the only democratic thing. After that, after having that vote, then those who are elected play a sort of reverse psychological game where then they pretend or function as if they are our bosses, and you have to find ways to meet them, and then they tell you, oh well, meet me at the office, and then you're out there in the office all day waiting and they're hoping that you go and forget that you had a meeting with them and all of these things. Now, in saying that, at the end of the day, we have situations where it is these same politicians or these same people who we elect, who are supposed to come and consult with us, who are supposed to, who we are supposed to be holding accountable, right? That then turn around and tell us that, well, you elect us to lead, and so we are expected to take action. And so, even in a case like Destiny here,
Yahsonn, we have to get in the comments, the last comments. Can we wrapping up?
Yes.
We done.
The people are maybe pushing back. You're saying, hey, well, you hire me to lead, and I have to take. Sometimes, we have to take these tough decisions, and we have to lead without even the proper consultation with the people. How do you propose OFA to? Because I know you can relate to exactly what I am saying. What do you guys propose in terms of being different to that sort of dictator style leadership that is being exhibited in some of these cases?
It sounds like going back over. We talk about inclusivity. How? Let's first. There's a question I want to answer about election funds, people, investors, and all those kind of people who gives money. One of the things that we notice, right, and it's sad, it's very, very sad, and I really want to take the time to talk about this. We see people who are willing and really want to invest in a party, in a political party. And when they would have invested, when you ask them, so what do we give? I never knew this was a situation. It's that you as a political party would benefit, and then the people of the country would have to suffer the consequences, because these investors become dictators, or ministers of governments are dictating. They are the ones who are operating. There are dictators who are over them. They're the ones who have to carry out the desires of the investors, and that's where it starts. They're the ones who have to carry out the desires of the investors. We have no say. It's the investors who demands what they want. I mean, if you're going to invest $30 million in a political party, what can a political party give the investors? What can a political party give to an investor? They have to give, when they go in government, they're going to give away all our lands. That's what they're doing. They're going to, all the promises that they would have made is we, the people, have to suffer. They're going to sideline our people. They're going to displace our people because they have to satisfy the desires of the investors. We don't understand that is where the problem stems from. The people that we have in office that we elected, those are not the ones who call the shots. They're the ones who are dictated to. They have to dance to the tune of what the investors are saying, because that's where they got the people their money. So they in turn has to give them back the values that the people would have asked for. That's why we don't have anything. We don't have anything, because if I come to you, if OFA comes to you and want our individual or own people to invest, whatever I give back to my own people, I'm reinvesting, and we're going to benefit as a people. But when you have all of those foreigners come in, why do you think the Chinese and all the other people can take such a big stake in our country? Because of the fact they would help to bring planes and pay for passages. That is something that we have to seriously look at, because it's bribery. Those are the steps that we have to put down our foot as a people. We have to put down our foot as a people, because we who are living here are the ones who have to suffer the consequences. And these are the things that we have to seriously look into. And as one federal alliance, we're going to make sure that we have discussions with our people. They have an understanding of what happens from the state of a political party to a party in government. I know, and people are afraid, oh, I'm afraid because of victimization. No way, no how. I vote for you. You can't victimize me. What are you going to do? Victimization happens if you allow it. You have to have a voice. And that is what we are going to be as OFA. We're going to be the voice of the voiceless. We are here to listen to our people and make sure that the will of our people is carried out. And that is why we're here. That is why we're offering ourselves to be elected representatives. I'm going to say it again. We want to represent our people. We don't want to just be a candidate for the people. We want to be able to represent our people. That is why people vote for people. So when you go into the parliament, we have proper representation. Not all representatives that we would have elected would walk out and decide that they're not going in because they have issues. No, these are the things we have to stop. We have to make sure that make sure that our vote, it has its value. And these people have to give us value for money. And that is what we're going to do if we're elected as one federal alliance. And for me, not me, because I'm not going to be up for election. I want to be the whistleblower. I want to make sure that what we promise is exactly what we people have. That is why, and somebody would have asked the question, I remember when I was one of the mouthpieces for unity, because I thought that our message was what we're going to take. We're going to be different. We were no different. Because what we did, we put in a group of opportunists. The same thing. We just changed one name to another name, and it's the same people we put in office. I'm tired of that, and that is one of the reasons why I took my leave and I said I didn't want to have anything to do with politics. But that would have been so unfair for my granddaughter and for my children's future and my grandchildren's future. So then we can't take that step and say, we're not going to vote. If you're not going to vote, you're giving consent to those people. You contributed to who's in power. You have to make up your mind and realizing that we've been used and it's too long we've been doing that. There's a time for change. And I think the time for change is now. And we have alternatives, but OFA is not an alternative. We are the solution. Those people who are coming as independent, they have to align themselves with other people. And they would align themselves with policies that they themselves don't agree with, but because they want to get in offices, they're going to do that. And that is one of the reasons why we decide we're going to seat 11 candidates from St. Kitts and Nevis, and they have to basically, our message has to resonate with them, and they have to be able to go out and talk to the people like I am doing, not script, but we have an understanding that is exactly what we want. If somebody else from OFA come and have the same discussion, they're going to say the same thing, because we want this to happen from our hearts. That is our message.
OFA is not the alternative. OFA is the solution. I love that. I love that. So we're gonna wrap up in just a bit. So I'm gonna take in some of the final comments on the walls. I want to thank all of you who would have participated. Make your comments. We didn't have any callers, but we have a number of comments on the wall and questions. And I hope, Miss Queely Aurtherton, that eventually, even after the show, you could go through the comments and maybe respond to some of them, and keep the conversation going. And I hope those who are listening, even if you got in late, please subscribe to the platform and also, share the link so that others who were unable to hear, would be able to hear some of the fresh ideas and new ideas by this new political party who is not the alternative, but is offering the solution. OFA. So let's go to the comments, and we have, we continue. Okay, so that should be stopped. Teenagers should not be using cannabis. Cannabis has over 300 compounds. Petro Jamat says, by not defining medicinal cannabis will cause confusion. Teko Selassie says, fire burn with that. I oppose it, and I can give a better proposal. C. Gaskell says, no SSZ, no destiny. Wherever those guys go, they make confusion. Keep them out of here. That is an idiot thing. Teko Selassie says, no Booby Island for them. That is a crazy alternative. That is an insult. Petro Jamat says, so decisions will be made by referendum. Evan Nisbet says, question, if OFA gets the opportunity to win, some deciding seats that can make up the government, which party will OFA align itself with. Trevor says these meetings at offices should be cut out. Let's meet at town hall meetings regularly. Lynetta Daniels says, when you have a system that is corrupt, your voting choices are non existent, which is a reason people don't vote. Tekla Selassie says, for real. Tekla Selassie says, that is why they did not like Mr. Bratcher. Gaskell says, so true, investor first, country people after, if at all. Trevor Benjamin says the voice must be a collective one. Trevor says if people are empowered, there won't be any fear of victimization. In the 1960s, Takosilasi says in the 1960s, Mr. Bratcher, when he was interviewed, he said that we will own the hotels and lease it to the business people. If not, they can keep their dirty dollar. Research it if you think I am lying. The Garden Hole channel says very informative show. Lynetta says it will be an uphill battle when your citizens have been trained to expect to be compensated for their vote. Miss Arthurton, you can see based on the comments, people are listening, people have their views and opinions. You're a fresh party and they're looking forward to hear, what is it that you guys are offering. So there'll be a number of questions. So that's why I'm saying, even at the end of the show, you can go through some of the comments and still respond to them. I really want to thank you for taking on the challenge and sitting in for the deputy leader, Mr. Marsham, who I guess we would eventually have back at some other point. And we hope to eventually have you back again as well, at some point, because I think based on the feedback that we're hearing here, that people do look forward to hearing more about your party and the ideas and some of the things that you guys are looking to put forward. In my wrapping up, I guess my two final questions would be, how will you convince the undecided voters that OFA is prepared to govern and not just campaign? And finally, I would say, if you had 1 minute to speak directly to people who think it's serious, what would you want them to remember most about OFA?
Okay, the first question is how do we speak to the undecided voters? People become undecided because they haven't had the discussions yet. We have not been able to reach those people who decide they've had enough of the same old rhetoric. That is one of the reasons why we've been having the community connections, where we want to talk to people from a community standpoint, because that was one of the first things we say. We want to build. If you can build strong communities, then you're going to build strong nations. If you can get over your concepts to people in different communities, then that will resonate to the people in the nation. And so that is one of the reasons why we are focusing on those people. And I want to let people know, if you don't vote, you are basically, there's no such thing as don't vote, because if you don't put an X, it means that you would have consented to who have to take power, and so whatever happened, you're still responsible because you did not say yeah or you didn't say nay. So therefore, it basically you are not counted. So we want to make sure that every citizen exercises their right to vote, understanding what others had to go through to make voting possible for us as Black people. The hardships that they had to go through, the protests that they would have had, the whips the lashes that they would have had. So we have to make sure that we vote. If we don't vote, we're going to put in a party that we don't want, and then we won't have a say. We have to focus on our children and our children's future. We have to now recognize that it is not the people, it is not the politicians, it is the system that they're governed by. There are too many loopholes, and that is one of the reasons why politicians wouldn't talk about how the other politician was able to steal money, because they use that same avenue to do the same thing. We ask the question all along, is it corrupt people that go into politics, or is the system that you go into that corrupt people when they get into politics? But we know there's some corruption somewhere, whether or not you're corrupted before or the system provides for corruption. But we are the people, because of the fact that we are not we are not we are not I don't want to use the word because I don't want to incite anything. But we sit down and we accept. We accept what the politicians are doing, and we are not talking out enough. We just sit us alongside and we say we are not going to vote. No, we have to vote. And those people, the last question, I would say to those people who don't want to vote, give us a chance. We have a plan, we have policies. And I ask the question again. If you look around saying it's a Nevis, CCM is in power, can I ask what CCM policies are? Have you seen any sign of the things that they're doing that resonate with a policy that they would have put forward? It's the same thing in St. Kitts and Nevis. What is the policy of the Labour Party? You don't see it because they don't, there's none, there's no philosophy. You go in and ad hoc,
When
you go in and make sure that
class and reliability matter, choose the ride.
Your pockets are filled and you are looked after. That is the policy. Because at the end of the day, that's what comes out. Everybody going as paupers and they come out as millionaires. And that is the sad part about it.
Well, thank you very much. Go ahead.
One of the things that we're gonna make sure is that we are gonna make sure that investors do not rule. They have no say. We're not taking their monies, and so we don't have to give them anything. So we are gonna make sure, because everybody think that when you come into politics, it's all about money. Let's take that out of it. Money is transactional. You have to get paid for your vote, then your vote is worthless. We have to make sure that when you vote, the people that you vote for, they have to do what you want, and not the other people, the investors. They're the ones who make the decision. Look at what we have down here, mosque. We are catering to people. We are catering to people who are not from here. We are changing our culture to please other people. That is something we have to stop. Our children, our children's children wouldn't have an understanding of who we are. That is the sad part about it. We're already a lost race, a displaced race, and we're going to continue to. Sooner or later, our young children would not even have a clue from whence we came, because that is totally out. Those are things we have to put back into our education system. Those are things from an OFA's point of view, those are things that we are going to focus on. We are going to recreate St. Kitts and Nevis. We're going to make sure it's a country that we all look forward to for growth, but we wanted to maintain our culture, and that is something we want to bring back as OFA. Thank you all for having me. It was a pleasure. And I look forward to
it was definitely a pleasure. It was definitely a pleasure having you and hearing some of the plans and ideas, sounding very, very positive and upful. There is something, the more you speak, the more I recognize that there are other things that we would really have to get into. So like you said, we definitely are open to having you back. And also we will definitely have Mr. Marshall when he's available. But quite an interesting discussion. Really look forward to having you back and hearing some more, because one of the points you made just a while ago in your closing, you said that it's not the people, it's not the politicians, it's the system. And that is something that we have been saying. We hear all of these politicians who came up, a lot of them are big lawyers, and they claim that nobody has ever changed anything in the Constitution. And all of them are claiming that the Constitution is flawed, but they are not making efforts to make the changes. So I'm hopeful that, and that was leading me to another question for you, but I know that we're definitely out of time, because it's what you guys are going to do differently in terms of making sure that that system that they're using, the loopholes to get through it, is fixed, so that nobody at all could be using these loopholes. And so, these are the things. Okay, good.
And can I say this to Yahsonn, because I've been asking you and Bankie to really take up the challenge as being a part of OFA. And the reason why is because we don't want to have medical doctors running an agriculture farm. We don't have lawyers running our tourism industry. We want people who are qualified to do the work. Now we're gonna give you a department to run because you're an elected representative. We want to make sure that the people that we have on board are people that can contribute wholly and solely to the ministry that they have been given. So we don't want to, you guys are who you are. We are not just looking for lawyers and doctors.
I like how my offices. Me comfortable where I'm at right now, and I'm gonna stick with it. Or people don't want to help, so I'm gonna stay on my farm and come here and talk. If I don't feel like come and talk, I stop talk. And get a next host. I don't contribute my time. I think I'm more than enough. to this society. Or people have to prove me. In order for me to put myself on the neck for people, people got to prove me. Then they want to save themselves. People, that's how it is. Me not just
Okay,
me
I'm
no
gonna work
fool.
on that.
I know my people too. I know they know. Oh, so I'm not. I very good at observing. I know they don't want
Just
to
how
help. You can't tell me a man got your foot in your throat and you pay high bills or high this, high that. And what you're telling about victimization. So this is the only society that don't want to make no sacrifice, but then want, nah, you know, work like us. So. No, work like us. So you see,
victimization
I
is
ain't
rough.
convinced.
We're gonna use that
You
as
can
the
go on
closing,
in, but me
Bankie.
good enough. I'm comfortable. I'm very comfortable on my farm. All right,
We
very
use
Then
it
much
as
maybe
the
so.
people
closing.
the same way.
Huh?
We're
You
gonna
know,
use it
That's
as the
fine.
closing,
closing, of
Bankie.
course. I just,
As the closing.
yeah, that part of the
Okay.
closing, very
So
much comfortable.
for
And so
people,
I appreciate our guests for coming. And we thought it wasn't planned. And this is what commitment, and this shows a lot. When someone just didn't plan and come out and over 2 hours. So really appreciate that. I take this for granted. And I hope the others show the commitment this young lady have when it comes to being the PRO. The others would have the serious commitment and giving others time. So I gotta say, big up yourself, Sandra, and being a sport. 'Cause I didn't really have to do this sort of day. It was nothing. Was planned with a last minute situation, and she hold to the mantle. So for that, you get an A plus. Cause many would just back out and stuff like that. So yeah, of course, I mark hard, you know. So
Thank you very
I
much.
know
Shit.
the people will meet me and say, "I will type it." Don't tell me to say type it. You see what I mean? No, don't tell me to say call in. Yeah, I'm not into saying things for people. Call in. You see what I mean? You want to ask me a question, read, go and research it. We don't. We have a people that we want to tell people what you don't want to read. Want to find information. Can you read? You remember what you read. Suppose what you understand it. So I just don't always give information. I will tell you read it yourself. Go and research it. I'm not about just telling you things and kind of no. It's important when people read because it's a way of understanding things, seeing it, and can always direct people where to find information. He's a person. So again,
okay.
thanks
So
for coming, and also for those give all the comments and stuff like that, and choosing Real Entertainment Network. Also, we have our next guest coming up for Friday, a special edition of Real Entertainment, Dr. Nisbet. So we'll have for the first hour, and then we'll continue in the general conversation of agriculture, or the economy, and stuff, whatever way you want to choose it. Coming up this Friday. Yahsonn.
folks, if it's one thing, right, you always could lock into Real Entertainment Network for, you know, breath dropping information. And so, for those of you who are, still concerned and wondering if Bankie is still up for running, well, you just heard, right, that Bankie is just going to stick to the farm. So for those of you who would have had the information earlier on, because I don't think Bankie would have actually came back to the public and let him know that he's not putting up his hat again for Charleston, So I want to make it publicly clear right now that at the end of this show here, you see something is good for you all to listen to the end, because we at the end, like soap operas, we give you something to run away with. So tonight for sure, Bankie is not up for this coming elections. All right? Bankie said that you all ain't want to help, right? And when he see that you all
Exactly.
want help, it is when
Problem.
he will be
Aware
ready
the
to you all,
problem.
all right?
You
But
even see the commenters and them saying the same thing. I mean, just straight up
we,
person
we,
virgin, man, about top things here.
all right, I just wanted to make that clear. So with that said, people, this is how we're going to wrap up this edition of the topics for this evening. I want to thank Sandra Queely Aurtherton for, last
That's right.
minute popping in
Sandra, big
to
up yourself.
fill
Big up
in
yourself. Big
for
up yourself. Big up
Mr.
yourself.
Marsham. And we do look forward to hearing from Mr. Marsham and other members of OFA in the future. So when you guys have slated your candidates and so on and all that, we look forward to get the updates. We
Well,
want to thank all of you who would have made your comments on the wall. We didn't have any calls this evening, but all of you who would have made your comments, whether it's on the Facebook or the YouTube, like I said, before you leave, it doesn't matter how many of you are here this evening, before you leave, all we're asking is for you to subscribe to the YouTube platform. Go over to the YouTube, let the algorithm see that you're there, and help us to help other people, because the more people subscribe, the more it goes further. And that's all we're asking. We're not asking for a donation. We're not asking for money. Just go over to the YouTube platform and subscribe. Subscribe, and click on the notification bell so that the next time we have a program, you'll be informed. I want to say a very special thanks to the Real Entertainment Network team, those who work behind the scenes, because there's a lot of people who are on the platform and they really make it their business to do what they have to do to make this a reality. So we want to thank Ira, Reese, Alan, and all the other members. And until Friday, when we are back with another edition of Everything Agriculture, we want to say thanks.
A special
to
edition
all
of the topics. A special edition of the topics we're going on with Dr. Nisbet.
Yeah. Okay, so it will not necessarily be Everything Agriculture at the same time, but it will be a special edition of the topics. So people, until then, enough love, guidance and protection. Miss Queely Aurtherton, Shabbos Bankie King, enough respect everybody, all of you who would have been on the wall, and enough love, guidance and protection.
OFA, I guess got to say, the others have a big feat to fill from after Miss Sandra. They better may come batting, because Sandra come up batting tonight, pure sixes. So you have set the tone in. So let them know that you have set the tone. So come ready and come fluent with it, because you're very fluent, and I appreciate that.
I appreciate having
not scripted.
Thanks for having me. It was really a pleasure. I fed from both of you guys. Man. I mean, you're very informative, and you give me that encouragement to stay and be as fluent as you claim. Say it was the questions and the fact that the debate was so comfortable. It encourages fluency. So thanks for having me. If you don't know, we are working on our website, and we talk about donors, and if by chance we talk about investors, you can invest as a local. You can donate to our cause, because elections are not easy. You have some finances that you have to, in order for us to get to the people, we have to find money to do so. So if we don't want, we're not if you don't want, because we're not going to have most of these investors. We're going to make sure that we stick to our people, and that they are going to from party right up to government. That is how we're going to do it. We're not going to change what we believe in.
Beautiful.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Real Entertainment Network. Until Friday, when we have the special edition of the topics. Enough love, guidance, everybody.
Yes.
The Topiks. Bankie Yahsonn. Real conversations. Hey. Lately we be having conversations. Cause we feel like there's nobody really talking truth. We be having conversations with the people. Cause too many media houses changing up the news. Everything was green light, now we seeing red. Everybody got opinions, you got facts instead. We be having conversations with the people. Cause we feel like there's nobody really talking truth. Tuesday night and everybody tuned in live. Bankie Yahsonn bringing reasoning every time. Talking politics and the things affecting lives. Breaking down the stories they be trying to hide. Used to trust the system, now the trust gone. Everybody talking loud, but the facts wrong. People tired of the fake and the gimmicks too. So they coming to the topics for a clearer view. Got the whole Caribbean locked on the station. Real Entertainment Network, building conversations. No script vibes, not staged for the camera. Just real people talking straight with stamina. We be having conversations. Cause we feel like there's nobody really talking truth. We be having conversations. Cause too many media houses changing up the news. Everything was green light, now we seeing red. Everybody got opinions, who got facts instead. We be having conversations. Cause we feel like there's nobody really talking truth. Sometimes Fridays got a special live session. Big topics got the whole place stressing. Agriculture, crime, economy discussion. Every episode spark another conversation. And the comments start flying when the live start. Everybody got a view from the heart. Some agree and some disagree too. But at least the topics bringing real views. No pretending when the mic turn on. Yeah, I send reasoning while Bankie stay strong. People checking in from overseas too. Cause authentic conversation hard to come through. Everything was green light, now we seeing red. Everybody got opinions, you got facts instead. We be having conversations with the people, cause we feel like there's nobody really talking.